Welcome to episode 110 of the Ontario Mortgage and Real Estate Insights podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hamoan. Today we've got a packed episode as we dive into some major developments in the real estate and mortgage landscape that could impact you, whether you're a homeowner, a prospective buyer, or just someone interested in the market. First up, let's talk about Toronto's ambitious new plan to tackle the housing crisis and give the city's economy a significant boost. On October 21, 2024, Toronto unveiled a comprehensive 10-year strategy called Sidewalks to Skylines, a 10-year action plan for Toronto's economy, 2025-2035. This plan, spearheaded by Mayor Olivia Chow, aims to address pressing issues like the soaring housing costs, public safety, and economic inequality, while also laying out a path to stimulate economic growth. The plan was crafted after extensive consultations with over 1,000 community members, businesses, and organizations, highlighting a collaborative approach to tackling these challenges. According to the report, home prices in Toronto have jumped by 20% since 2019, but income growth has been almost flat, increasing by only 0.4%. This disparity has made homeownership a distant dream for many residents and is even prompting some to leave the city in search of more affordable living options. One of the key elements of the plan is the advancement of the Housing TO Action Plan, which sets an ambitious goal of building 285,000 new homes by 2031. This includes a mix of 6,500 rent-geared-to-income units, 41,000 affordable rental units, and 17,500 rent-controlled units. The city aims to incentivize affordable home development and increase housing density near major transit hubs, which is expected to speed up construction and make homes more accessible to those in need. Another significant issue the plan addresses is the high vacancy rates in older office buildings, currently around 18%. By converting these Class B and C office spaces into mixed-use or adaptive spaces, Toronto hopes to revitalize these areas and bring the vacancy rate down to a target of 7.5% by 2034. This move not only aims to optimize existing spaces, but also to breathe new life into underutilized parts of the city. The action plan also seeks to foster economic development for Indigenous, Black, and equity-deserving communities. It emphasizes promoting green infrastructure through the Transform to Net Zero strategy and supporting small businesses by advocating for commercial rent control. These initiatives are designed to create a more inclusive and sustainable economic environment in the city. A crucial component of the 10-year plan is securing a long-term intergovernmental funding agreement. The current model, which forces the city to repeatedly seek financial backing from provincial and federal governments, is considered inadequate for sustained growth. The plan suggests launching a public campaign to negotiate a stable funding agreement with Ontario and Canada, ensuring continuous support for essential housing and infrastructure projects. A recent example of successful intergovernmental collaboration is Ontario's $73 million investment in the Gardiner Expressway rehabilitation project. This funding not only helped expedite the construction timeline by a year, but also exemplified the potential benefits of a reliable funding agreement. Mayor Chow's efforts alongside Ontario Premier Doug Ford are aimed at achieving long-term financial stability for Toronto. The report underscores Toronto's vital role in the national economy, noting that the city contributes to 20% of Canada's total economic output and more than half of Ontario's economy. The health of Toronto's economy is thus not just a local concern, but a national one. The recommendations from this action plan will soon be reviewed by the Economic and Community Development Committee and are expected to be presented to the City Council in November. Today, we have some troubling news for 117 homebuyers in Ontario who are facing significant financial losses. Sunrise Homes, a developer responsible for a pre-construction home project in Clearview, Ontario, has entered receivership. The developer has admitted to selling homes without obtaining the necessary legal approvals, leaving buyers out of pocket and without homes. Rayyan Shahid and his wife, who are expecting their first child, were eagerly anticipating moving into their dream home at the Clearview site near Wasaga Beach. Unfortunately, their hopes were dashed when they learned that Sunrise Acquisitions, Stainer Inc., the company behind the project, went into receivership earlier this year. Since December 2021, Shahid had paid $100,000 of his life savings as a down payment for a home that was supposed to be completed by April 2025. Court documents reveal that 117 homebuyers are collectively facing losses of around $4 million, with some individuals losing as much as $130,000. Shahid himself stands to lose approximately $15,000. The emotional toll is immense, as Shahid expressed. It's really devastating. It's heartbreaking. One thing is not getting the house, then the other thing is losing the money also. This situation is not unprecedented for Sunrise Homes, which has previously faced insolvency on other projects. The builder has admitted to CBC Toronto that it has been selling homes without the required legal approvals for years. The Regulatory Authority for Home Construction in the province is now investigating Sunrise Homes after learning about these sales practices. The court-appointed receiver for the Clearview project has been tasked with selling the property, which still lacks essential infrastructure like water and sewage capacity. Despite this, Sajjad Hussain, the CEO of Sunrise Homes, has expressed a desire to buy back the land and continue the project. He attributes the project's failure to a lack of water infrastructure and rising construction costs post-pandemic. The situation has drawn attention to the need for stronger protections for homebuyers. Shahid and other affected buyers are calling for better oversight and accountability in the home construction industry. They are particularly concerned about how Sunrise Homes was able to continue operating despite its track record of financial troubles and legal issues. The Home Construction Regulatory Authority has begun a closer inspection of Sunrise Homes and its associated entities. However, the lack of prior action from both the Home Construction Regulatory Authority and Tarion, the Provincial Warranty Corporation, has been criticized as negligence by Toronto-based real estate lawyer Bob Aaron. He questions why these sales were allowed to proceed despite the absence of necessary approvals. Sunrise Homes has a history of financial difficulties, with other projects entering receivership and allegations of misappropriation of funds. In one case, the company was accused of misappropriating millions of dollars by writing checks to themselves, leading to a court order to pay over $10 million to a receiver. The situation has left buyers like Farron Hawk, who also invested $100,000 in the Clearview project, feeling frustrated and unprotected. Hawk, who planned to move into the new home with his family, was shocked to discover the company's previous insolvency under a different name. He hopes for better regulatory oversight to prevent similar situations in the future. Now, let's turn our attention to the latest developments from the Bank of Canada, where significant changes in interest rates are on the horizon. As we approach what is expected to be the Bank of Canada's fourth consecutive interest rate cut this year, predictions from major financial institutions suggest that this rate-cutting cycle is far from over. Experts are forecasting that the Bank of Canada's policy rate could drop to as low as 2.1% over the next 14 months, hinting at more relief ahead for borrowers. The market is anticipating a supersized rate cut this week, driven by cooling inflation and a weakening job market. If this scenario unfolds, both RBC and National Bank, along with Caisse Desjardins, are predicting an additional 175 basis points of rate relief by the end of 2025. This would bring the prime lending rate at most major lenders down to 4.20%, a level not seen since early 2022. For homeowners with variable rate mortgages, this could mean lower interest rates and smaller monthly payments, providing some much-needed financial relief. However, not all big bank forecasts are as aggressive. CIBC forecasts the Bank of Canada's policy rate will settle at 2.25% by the end of 2025, while BMO and TD Bank are projecting a more modest decrease to 2.50%. Meanwhile, Scotiabank is predicting much less easing, expecting the overnight target rate to fall only to 3% by the end of 2025. The shifting focus of the Bank of Canada, from controlling inflation to addressing concerns about the labor market, is noteworthy. As of September, the Consumer Price Index inflation rate had slowed to 1.6%, now below the bank's target of 2%. Despite the creation of 47,000 new jobs in September, the labor market has cooled notably since the interest rate hikes began. RBC Economics has warned that Canada's job market now poses a bigger risk to the economy than the wave of mortgages set to renew at higher rates. Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem has highlighted these concerns, noting that as inflation gets closer to the target, your risk management calculus changes. He emphasized the importance of addressing downside risks, particularly in the labor market. Macklem suggested that if economic growth weakens further, it could be appropriate to move faster on interest rates, stressing, "We do not want to see more slack in the economy." Looking at the expert opinions ahead of the Bank of Canada's rate decision, there's a mix of predictions. Scotiabank anticipates a 50 basis point rate cut at the upcoming meeting, followed by a return to 25 basis point cuts through the middle of the year. RBC Economics highlights the urgency to reduce rates to a more neutral policy range, somewhere between 2.25% and 3.25%. Meanwhile, the C.D. Howe Institute suggests that the Canadian economy is operating below its productive capacity, indicating more rate cuts might be necessary to stimulate demand and stabilize inflation. BMO also sees the conditions ripe for a 50 basis point rate cut, though they caution that the pace may change as policy rates approach neutral. Desjardins agrees with the likelihood of a 50 basis point cut in October, with additional cuts in December and through 2025 contingent on labor market conditions. Oxford Economics and National Bank both foresee back-to-back 50 basis point cuts due to fading economic momentum and a softening labor market. As we await the Bank of Canada's decision, an informal poll conducted by Canadian Mortgage Trends on LinkedIn shows that nearly 3/4 of respondents expect a 50 basis point rate cut. This sentiment reflects the widespread anticipation of significant monetary policy adjustments to address the evolving economic landscape in Canada. Today, we're wrapping up our episode with some positive news from Kingston, Ontario, where a significant investment is set to change the local housing landscape. On October 21, 2024, the federal government, in partnership with the City of Kingston, announced a combined investment of approximately $7.2 million to construct 30 new homes across 3 crucial projects in the area. This initiative aims to address the pressing housing needs within the community and provide support to some of its most vulnerable residents. The first project, located at 111 Macaulay Street, has already been completed and welcomed its new residents this month. Habitat for Humanity. Kingston Limestone Region has built 8 homes, including 2 that are accessible. These homes offer deeply affordable rental options for individuals who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. Situated near a revitalized neighborhood park, the Rideau Heights Community Center, and a library, this development provides not only housing, but also a sense of community and accessibility to essential services. Moving on to the second project at 206 Concession Street, this development is a transitional housing stabilization program. It features 18 bedrooms, each with a private bathroom, along with communal kitchen, dining, and lounge areas. The project will offer programming administered by Addictions and Mental Health Services, Kingston, Frontenac, Lennox, and Addington. Construction is currently underway and is expected to be completed later this year. This initiative focuses on providing comprehensive support for those in need, offering a stable environment for recovery and well-being. The third project is a 4-unit development located at 255 Yonge Street on municipally owned land. Overseen by Tippy Moza, an Indigenous housing provider in Kingston, this project aims to support Indigenous households, including women and their children. It's expected to be completed by the winter of 2025. This development is a crucial step towards addressing the housing needs of Indigenous community members in Kingston, ensuring they have access to safe, affordable, and culturally supportive housing. The funding breakdown for these projects includes over $480,000 in federal funding for the Macaulay Street project through the third round of the Rapid Housing Initiative, alongside contributions from the City of Kingston and Habitat for Humanity. The Concession Street project benefits from over $4.6 million in federal funding, while the Yonge Street project receives over $1.5 million. The City of Kingston will also provide ongoing municipal operating funding to support the continued provision of services for the Macaulay and Yonge Street projects. These projects are part of the Rapid Housing Initiative, a $4 billion program under the Government of Canada's National Housing Strategy, aiming to rapidly construct new housing and convert existing buildings for affordable housing purposes. This initiative adopts a human rights-based approach, focusing on individuals experiencing or at risk of homelessness and other vulnerable groups, including Indigenous peoples, women and children fleeing domestic violence, and those with mental health and addiction issues. In closing, this investment in Kingston represents a powerful collaboration between federal and local governments, along with community organizations, to address housing shortages and provide essential support to those in need. It's a testament to the positive impact that well-coordinated efforts can have on improving the quality of life within our communities. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Ontario Mortgage and Real Estate Insights podcast. I'm Steve Hamwin, and I look forward to bringing you more updates and insights in our next episode. Until then, take care and stay informed.